Hey BookTube, it's Sarah and welcome back to my channel, The Book Bag. Today I'm going to be doing my May bullet journal setup. So the tarot cards I picked for this month are entirely to do with the theme. I'm doing a Lore Olympus theme, and that is a webcomic that is based on the myth of Hades and Persephone. So the first card I have is the Fool, which represents a dreamer, freedom, a life without worry, the start of an adventure, and a happy lack of responsibilities. So I thought this represented Persephone at the beginning of the comic because she's pretty naive and innocent, carefree, and she also, is at the beginning of her adventure. The other card I chose was the King of Wands. This represents a passionate person, possibly in a position of power, with a noble bearing who is electric and energetic. I thought this represented Hades. He's, the ruler of the underworld. He's got a lot of power. He's pretty, regal in the series. And the card also has pomegranates on it, which are, of course, a very iconic symbol of the Hades and Persephone myth. So for the cover of this month, I found this inspiration on Pinterest, where they had done a scene with kind of sunset colors in these little bars. And I thought it kind of looked like the underworld in the comic. I decided to use some blue, purple, and pink pencil crayons to draw out these bars and kind of make it look like the underworld a little bit. So the blue is for Hades and the underworld, and the pink is for Persephone and the springtime, and the purple is obviously the melding of those two colors. If you're not familiar with Lore Olympus, it is a webcomic by Rachel Smythe. It's on Webtoon and is also being printed and published traditionally. So the first book is out already. It came out last fall, and then I think the next one is due out in July, and there's going to be potentially 3 or 4 different bound graphic novels, but the whole thing is currently still being updated but is available to read on Webtoon. She just restarted. She was on a bit of a hiatus, and now we're back with the comic happening again, so that's super exciting. I've been reading that every week. Every Sunday I log on to Webtoon and I'm like, let me know what's happening, the drama. I can't I can't handle these cliffhangers. So it's really good. It's really romantic and sweet. There's also some pretty heavy themes about sexual assault as well, so be warned that that's in there if that might be triggering for you. But the art style is really beautiful, and the romance is so sweet. It's a good kind of slow burn, tense romance. The age gap is a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. He's I don't know, thousands of years old because he's the god of the underworld and she's a pretty new goddess. So it feels a bit strange, but I just don't think about that part, and it's fine. It's also a pretty, I would say progressive and feminist retelling of the Persephone and Hades myth. There's a lot less of the weird Stockholm syndrome-y, rapey kind of vibes, so I appreciate that. I knew that I wanted to include some of the artwork from the comic, but that I could in no way trace it out because Rachel Smythe's art style is so beautiful. And I was just not gonna muck that up. So I printed out this lovely tree from one of the backgrounds, as well as this picture of Hades and Persephone together. And I just cut those out and glued them in because I was I don't want to ruin her beautiful art. Then on the colorful bars that I drew, I put in outlines of the little skyscrapers. So I just traced out some of the bigger lines that I had drawn and then put in little windows using my fine liner as well as my white jelly roll pen. I didn't want to do them all like skyscrapers. I thought that would be too busy and maybe kind of ugly, but just a couple here and there to add the suggestion of the underworld skyscrapers, just to add a little bit of interest and make the bars have a little bit of meaning that's not just pretty colorful bars. Then I wrote May 2022 with my Tombow brush pen, and I cut out a little Cerberus and put him down in the corner because who doesn't love a good doggo? On the opposite page I have my faithful handy dandy sleep tracker, and it's the same as always. This past month, I feel like I have slept not at all because the cat sleeps next to me but then has decided that 4:30 is when she should be fed her breakfast. So she comes and wakes me up, and my boyfriend sleeps through everything, so she walks right behind his head, purring and meowing, and he does not notice, and then she comes over to me and bothers me for food at 4:30 every morning until I shut her out of the room and try and fall back asleep. She started to get a little bit better at the end of the month here, so I'm really hoping that she will just sleep through the night, or at least not bother me until like 7 a.m., which is a reasonable awakening time. But it's fine. I love her. She's very cute. She's very sweet, but her sense of time is incredibly skewed. For the border on this page, I chose kind of like a starry washi tape. It's like a medium blue and it's got some like stars and stuff. I thought it reflected the palette of the cover and kind of like, you know, the heavens with the gods and everything. Then my next spread is my monthly setup for May. It's just a really standard like calendar view as always. This seems to be the spread that I tend to have the most issues with. If anything's gonna go wrong when I'm making my bullet journal, it's usually this page. A lot of times I forget to like draw it out, and I have to draw it out while filming and then trace over it with my pen. But this time, what I did was I started my week on Monday, but that is the 2nd of May. So I had traced it out as though we were ignoring the 1st of May. So I had to go and add 2 more boxes in because I had also treated it as though May was only 30 days in the month. So I had to go back and add in 2 more boxes at the end, and then I started my week on Sunday instead of Monday like normal. So it was less of a catastrophe than I thought it was gonna be, but it was just like, ugh, Sarah, pay attention. For my little to-do list header, I drew a little word bubble because this is based on a comic, and then I pasted in a picture of Hades and Persephone this is actually the scene where I got the tree from my cover page from, and I thought this was such a lovely drawing of the two of them. I didn't want it to go to waste, so I put it in here. For my weekly spreads, I just did some word bubbles and some thought bubbles because it is, like I said, based off of a webcomic, so kind of incorporating the comic element here. And then they were pretty easy to draw. They turned out decently, like not bad. They're a little more interesting than just squares, but they're not anything that takes like a ton of time. So I'm pretty happy with that. I might go back and like shade the edges with pink and blue if I have time later and if I like really feel like it, but they're still pretty cute just as is. And so that is my May bullet journal setup. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you've read the Lore Olympus comics because they're so good. I love them so much. And I hope I'll see you in my next video.